I'm J.A. He's Randy.
What's
Let's
up?
get inappropriate.
Inappropriate. Inappropriate. Inappropriate.
Inappropriate. Inappropriate.
What's up, everybody? This is the Inappropriate Question Show. I am J.A. here with Randy. What's up?
What's up, playa?
Man, this cold has been going around down here in Florida, man. It's been spreading like the plague. I don't know what's happening. I think zombie apocalypse is coming.
Well, you guys did have a freaking guy that ate another guy.
I don't know what's going on in the state, but I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's been weird up here where it's like leading into spring here in Massachusetts, you had it's going to be closer to spring, like 60 something degrees. And another day closer to spring, it's going to be close to 70. And all of a sudden the next day they're like, yeah, bust out your jackets. It's going to be a high of 35. It's like, what the fuck is this? It went from 60 something degrees to a high of 38. It's like a 20 something degree shift. And we're all sitting there like, the fuck? I'm like, that's winter fucking with people that are like, oh, spring is here. I can put all my winter clothes away.
Exactly.
And that's what oh, good. A couple of days, we're just like, I'm not done yet, bitches.
You see everybody running to their closets, grabbing out stuff. They're like, oh my God, I need my coat.
And that was one of the things I laugh at when my wife and I, when we were first up here a couple of times, my wife was like, oh, early spring, I'm going to put stuff away. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. And sure enough, it was a day that it came in cold. So then the following year, she's like, when should I put this stuff away into the winter clothes away? I'm like, June. There's no way they're going to have a cold day in June.
All right, so for people that don't know how Inappropriate Questions works is we search around the internet to find just various crazy things that are interesting to us, and then we ask a question based on it, and then we comment on it. And there's usually a top comment that we pick, and you guys can also comment because we want to get interaction from you as well. So the first question for today is this what they meant by Cheeto stain?
Sweet Jesus, man.
Wow. That picture.
Okay, so it's funny because I don't want to say I'm OCD, but there's very, very few things in this world that I am very OCD about. And one of the things that I am wholeheartedly OCD about is when I have a game controller that I'm playing and I'll hand it to a friend of mine and they're eating something and then they grip it and they think and they hand it back and you could just feel the grease on the controller. Yeah. Yo, that drives me insane to the point that my best friend came over. He came and visited us up in Massachusetts and I had a PS3 and he was sitting there eating Lay's potato chips and I handed the controller to him. We were playing Hot Shots Golf. He did a shot, handed it back to me. I felt that I'm like, yo, you're going to have to clean your hands in between fucking shots because I'm not going to have my controller get greasy. To the point where he got so annoyed, he went out the next day and he bought a controller and I can do whatever the fuck I want with this thing.
Just hand out handy wipes.
Dude, I tell you, it is the only thing that I'm OCD about. Even when I eat and I play, I will fucking have a wet nap or something to wipe my hands down just so that the controller doesn't get greasy. I don't know what it is, but it's just it's nerve-wracking to me.
And that's the same thing with me. I can't have a keyboard that's just full of food. I've seen that too, where it's you see crumbs and stuff piled up on the keyboard to the point where the crumbs can almost hit the keys themselves. It's nah, man, I can't do that.
That is the one thing that always made me laugh as my old job was the people that come in, my keys are having problems, especially on a laptop. And the key to that was close the laptop, clean the screen till it's beautiful and immaculate. You close the laptop, flip it over, and then tap the back of the laptop and then open it up and you realize how disgusting that person really is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The top comment for this one was, there's probably a bucket of shit laying somewhere in the room.
And that is true. That is true. As a matter of fact, what I laugh at in looking at that picture, I subscribe on YouTube to some of those Twitch fails videos. And one of them is this guy that's huge World of Warcraft. He's been doing this for years and shit. And you will see on his Twitch feed, he'll have a desk sitting back here with just fucking trash, shit that he's eaten and then just let it sit there. And he'll just pile up and people comment on him. He don't give a shit. And what was hilarious is he sat there and I guess he has a mini fridge next to him where he'll keep drinks and whatever. And in one clip, yo, he's sitting there like, oh, so I remember a time ago, like, this is probably 5 years ago. He's like, I was doing a stream and I was making fluffernutter sandwiches and all that. And people were commenting about the marshmallow fluff and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, check this out. He reaches down. He literally pulls out the same fucking jar of marshmallow fluff that he had sitting in that fridge for 5 years, dude.
Oh
and
my
I'm
God.
like, I just saw that and I was like, oh my God. And that comment just reminded me of that because like he was cleaning shit up and you could just see like fucking like TV dinner trays with forks stuck to the fucking residue of the damn. People are like, just throw that shit out, burn the house down and throw it out.
Yeah, seriously. That's the one of those things where you ask yourself, why I'm not getting any sex? That's why.
That's why, yeah. Right, that's it right there.
All right, so for our second question, is this the best punishment ever? And for those on the podcast, basically what it is a Nintendo Switch console and a Zelda game for $100. And it says, because my son is ungrateful. The description says, I got my ungrateful son Kyle a brand new Nintendo Switch for Christmas. Little did I know that I would catch him looking at homosexual pornograph on our family computer. His loss is your gain. 100 Nintendo Switch first come first. Now, no one here is, homophobic, but damn, that's just hardcore as a punishment.
That is true, but at the same time, the then question would be: would you be okay with with buying a Switch that you know where those hands have been?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that look, for all we know, maybe he's just mad that he was watching porn, not the fact that his son is gay. So I mean, I guess we shouldn't put any undue on somebody that we don't know what they did. But I guess anyone that gets caught watching any type of porn, you're probably going to get in trouble by your parents. So
yes. And again, he was watching porn, which means, do you really want to purchase that where you know where those hands have been?
Which goes back to the keyboards, like the key. You go to a keyboard or a mouse, or someone hands you a controller, and it's a little sticky, and you just get that really bad feeling. You're like, what were you doing?
You jerk off on this thing before you give it to her?
I mean, with computers, it's worse because when you see like a really sticky mouse, you're just like, man, you want to just pretend that it's just food, but you know what people do with their computers. They're just.
Although I will say this, by far the worst thing I think any kind of like tech or person has to ever deal with is fixing a computer that comes from a house of like a heavy duty smoker.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude, just seeing the like tar on a computer is the most disgusting thing. Like, I think one of my favorite things I ever saw was a woman that came in, nice, sweet little 60-some-odd-year-old woman. Avid smoker, you could tell just by the sound of her voice. You talk to her and she's like, yeah, my computer's having a problem. It's
like Dr. Girlfriend on the Venture Brothers.
And when they pull out a white MacBook that's no longer white, it's yellow, it's like, that wasn't one of the original colors.
It's the same color of her lungs.
Yeah, it's like, I don't remember selling that color.
At Alienware, we ran into that a lot, where we would get back a computer and we'd open it up, and like this one computer had cakes of dust on it, as if it was like lost in the apocalypse, and some alien race discovered it 100 years later. That's how much dust was in it, and I'm just like, that's like in your throat, that's in your lungs, that's in your nostrils, all that dust. It's like, come on.
Oh, dude, like the horror stories of CompUSA of fucking. You'd have people come in, they're like, yeah, I don't know why it's not working. The techs would open it up and you'd find that like 3-4 inch layer of dust in the computer. And so much dust in the damn fan that the damn fan couldn't turn on. And we're like, well, we have a feeling we know why it's not working.
I think we found the problem.
Vacuum out the whole computer.
The problem is you.
And it's like, oh, look, it works fine now.
The top comment in this was, that's when you create a buyer name as your gay son lover 69. It's like, I guess if you have someone that really cares about you, they'll go buy that Switch for $100 and give it back to you.
Damn,
but it's funny because I've seen this before, this pattern of where people will get upset. I remember a long time in EverQuest where there was this lady who was selling like all these expensive items that they could sell off of a character, and it was because she was saying her boyfriend cheated on him, and she really sold it. Anything that you could sell that wasn't bound to the character, she was selling it for just like a couple of gold here, when these things were worth multi-platinum, and it was just crazy. Be careful, guys. All right. So our next question is: is this real or fake? And I have to say it's fake because it's basically a picture of Mario and he's coming in like this, like, "Hey, it's me, Mario," and it's a kid taking a shower, and it's supposed. I actually did look this up. They do actually have Super Mario a bubble bath, but I don't think Mario is telling you don't forget to wash your foreskin.
If there's one thing that I always crack up at when you see shit like this on Reddit, is some of the comments. I think one of my favorite ones here is "clean right in the pipe."
Yeah. And one of the top ones was, "I haven't seen my foreskin in 30 years." I think these guys match with the people that have the really dirty computers.
God almighty.
We found a community here.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is like an actual ad, like somewhere, not in the United States, obviously, but
yeah, some of those international ads, they don't care.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. If they did put this there, it has to be something European or something like that. I guarantee you.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Our next question is, and this actually the question came from the Reddit post itself. It says, "Is this why retail is dying?" And it shows a picture of premium HDMI cables for $49.99 when you can go online. I mean, Amazon, Monoprice, so many places you could get them from anywhere from $10, even less depending on the length. And I think this was only 10 feet or something like that.
Yeah,
and
it's 3 meters, so 10 feet. But now here's the only thing that I'm wondering. It is because it's the cable that is meant for the 4K. So they're now, and I didn't know about this shit. I thought like an HDMI cable was an HDMI cable. Apparently now there's two types of HDMI cable. One that can go up to 1080p and one that can go up to 4K because it has more bandwidth in the cable. Now, the big question is, it's probably full of shit. They're probably the same fucking cable. They're just like, we're going to make this shit up and, because of how cheap HDMI cables have got. Now, apparently, I have heard, and I know this from friends of mine that about it, is if you buy a new 4K Apple TV and use any old HDMI cable, it'll actually tell you, oh, no, you can't do this. Like, it won't work. So I don't know what the hell they're doing, if it's true or not, if they're putting some sort of kind of chip into it so that it knows it's like the premium cable, when it's just like another cable that they added a little chip to it, and they're like, fuck it, we're going to charge $50 for this thing.
Well, with Apple, I can understand that just because they love to be proprietary and tell you, oh, you only got to use Apple cables. It's like they were saying that if you use any other cables to charge your phone, it won't charge, and they proved that wasn't wrong. Yes, there's cheaper, shitty cables, but you don't have to buy the Apple authorized cable.
And here's the funny thing is the actual high-speed cable that they sell at an Apple store, it's not an Apple one. It's a Belkin one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Apple doesn't make a high-speed one.
There's always been jokes about retail, like those monster cables. That's like the biggest joke in retail. When everywhere you go, I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but for that price, it's just ugh.
No. Yeah, I mean, that was. I'm trying to remember. I saw an article where they talked about that shit, especially with monster cables, because they're like, "What the fuck is the difference?" Yo, tell whoever the fuck is hammering in the background to give you 20 minutes, bro. I don't know who the fuck is hammering.
There's crazy stuff going on here all the time. I don't know.
They're fucking building their sex doll in the background. Fuck, I need the mallet. Her arm came out of the socket. But one of the things that I found funny is when they actually benchmarked monster cables against regular cables, speed-wise and everything, it was fine. Now, one of the things that I found interesting was they took a fucking old as shit fucking monster cable and an old as shit regular cable and then tested it, and that's where the difference in the speed was. Apparently the regular cable degraded over time while as the monster cable didn't. But the guy was like, dude, seriously, if you're gonna hold on to these cables for this long, it's you're better off just buying a fucking brand new cable instead of sinking the money into the monster cable. The only times I ever bought monster cables was when I fucking worked at CompUSA and we got shit at cost. And the cost on those things was oh, you want a 50-foot, belt of 5E cable, which was brand new networking cable at the time? Yeah, 35 cents for 50 feet. And you looked at shit, retail price, $55. It was get the fuck out of here.
And that leads us to the top comment that says, I can get a thing like that at work for free. So it's yeah, that's what you got to do, man. if you know somebody that worked, I remember at Alienware we would have like just boxes because when they would send them back for RMA, they would only send back the actual hardware. So there'd be cables for all types of video cards, sound cards, just piled up in a box.
Shit.
It was
I was like, feel free to grab it, whatever. Yeah. No, that was the thing is like I remember when I networked to my house back in those days, we had real shitty cables and all that, and then it was just like, oh, I can buy a 50-foot 5e cable for $1. I'm like, guess what's gonna happen at the house? We're fucking putting everything at 5e fucking, and it wasn't like, oh, my computer's here and the switch is here, 50-foot cable, fuck it. Like, just in case, like I had so many 50-foot 5e cables that it wasn't even funny. And I ended up throwing them away because it was just like, all right, whatever. I didn't need that much cable. But it was hilarious because it was just like, Jesus, like it was like, yeah, let me buy 10 of these. That'll be like $10. Here you go.
So our next question is Mountain Dew the ultimate video game elixir? And the picture basically shows this guy like dressed like one of the merchants in like Dungeons and Dragons.
That is Francis from that YouTube channel that he has.
My question is, how did Mountain Dew become like the official drink of the gamer? Because to me, it's nasty. Like I've tried all of them: blue, code red, regular, ice.
I can tell you, I have the answer. A, lots of sugar. B, lots of caffeine. When you sit there and you look at it, those two combinations is why. Because nothing will keep you up all freaking night on a WoW raid than that fucking burst of sugar and caffeine that you get in a Mountain Dew.
So it's a diabetes elixir.
It's a diabetes elixir. That's right. That's the Walford Brimley liquid right there. But now, this is what's funny is like I enjoyed Mountain Dew, but for me, growing up, Mellow Yellow was my shit.
Ah, yeah.
And it's funny as hell because Mountain Dew blew the fuck up and Mellow Yellow kind of like settled off quietly and all that. And it's hilarious because my wife sat there and like told me one day, she's like, what the hell's the difference? It tastes the same. I said, no. I said, when you look at it, Mountain Dew is based on lime. Mellow Yellow is based on lemon. There's a difference.
And marketing, man. I mean, Mountain Dew sounds good. Mellow Yellow is like, what the hell am I drinking? It's like, is this piss? I don't know.
Yeah, Yellow Dye number 5 got him. That was like, what it was.
I don't know how 7-Up became the official drink of old people because they were really trying to be cool way back in the day. And the next thing you know is like, oh, wait, only old people drink this stuff. So it's like, okay, that's the old people drink.
They had the marketing thing of the cool spot. I mean, they had a fucking video game for Christ's sake.
They were trying to get young, but it didn't work, dog. Didn't work. All right, our next question is this the best fake out ever? And this it shows a picture. It says, my son wanted a Switch for his birthday, and they actually gave him a 10-100 or it could actually be a 100-1000 Switch. I'm not sure. But basically, it's a networking Switch, not a Nintendo game console. And just look on the kid. He's just looking like, damn. What's funny about this is honestly, depending on the kind he got, like if that's a really good one, which I assume it is, it looks like it, you could probably sell it and almost have enough to buy a Switch. So
I think my favorite comment is the first one that's up here is like, irony is the only meaning of Switch that I know is of the device he's holding, so I couldn't get the joke.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's just like, here you go, son. Now go network your non-existent computer. Just take that to school.
You know, and it's like if you really cared, it wouldn't be 10-100.
So it is 10-100. Oh man. Well, you know.
Yeah, because I don't think, looking at it now, I don't think they make 100,000 Switches that big. They're only like 5 ports, I think, at the biggest.
That's true. Well, they might have some enterprise ones, but yeah, that's probably true.
I remember I had one of those. Like, I remember, shit, now that you say that, I remember I had at home, and I remember taking it to Red Eye one of the times when we needed one of the Switches. I had this like 10-100 compact, like it was a server rack Switch that somebody ordered and then canceled the order, and it was sitting there in the store, and it was like something that we couldn't put out on the shelf, or I think we put it out on the shelf, and because of the price, everyone was like, that, I'm not going to pay that. And it sat for so long that they like discontinued it and discounted it, and I ended up paying something like $3 for it or some shit like that. And It was like, I think it was like a 16 port 10-100 Switch. which at the time was like a blazer. And I remember taking it to Red Eye one time right before the 10-100 1000 switches came out, and we were like, where the fuck did you get that? I'm like, from my work. And they're like, who the fuck did that? And they're like, I don't know, somebody ordered it.
I remember back in the day when I was really into getting the GI Joes towards like the end of the run, when they had like all the crazy ones from the movie and stuff like that. And I remember getting like a package, and when I'm opening it up, I thought it was a GI Joe, but it was just one of the many knockoffs that like my cheap ass relatives found somewhere. And it's just like you open it and you're just like, oh, because you really thought it was a real GI Joe, and it looked, and then that sadness washes over you.
And you're like,
this is why I don't talk to my relatives now.
You're like, God damn, why don't you talk to us? Because you bought me a GI Bro when I was a kid.
Or you got me that stupid barrel of like 1,000 army men. It's like, who plays with that green plastic shit? Nobody is the answer.
Hey, those were fun to to set up weird fucking situations.
They were fun to microwave.
I'm saying, weird ass situations. What's going on? We're getting attacked by a scientific.
Okay, so our last question is, are VR casinos a terrible idea? And this comes from an article that basically talks about how casinos are coming out with like virtual reality goggles where you put it on and you're able to walk around a casino and bet and do all this stuff and actually use real money. And to me, it's like, man, it's bad enough. I've been to, Vegas a couple of times, and I've seen what happens when people are going down there in the middle of the night to gamble away their college funds for their kids. But now you're just sitting at your house, and I could just imagine what they're gonna just show you. It's just gonna be like all these perfectly digitized women walking around begging you to gamble, and you're just sitting in your home. And the funny thing is that I think that having these goggles on is great, because when you put the goggles on, you had a house full of nice furniture, electronics, and people. And by the time you gamble everything away and take them off, you're in an empty apartment. So it works great. You don't even know you've been robbed while you were under the influence of these casinos.
Well, like, here's my thing with it is the fact that they're saying like, oh, it'll sit there and you could walk around. Now here's the thing. So I have a Oculus Rift at home, and Jesus Christ, did they bust in her hip into place now? Good Lord. All right. Anyways, and the thing that's cool is, yes, there's some games and stuff like that you can actually like move around and all that. But like, what's really neat when you set it up is they have the like what they call the safety wall. So when you set it up, you basically take one of the motion controllers and you kind of like trace around in the room the safe area where it's like, okay, I can move around here. There's nothing around me that I'll run into. What's kind of neat is if you're playing a game and you're kind of moving around, and of course you're in the game world, so you lose sight of where you are. But what's neat is if you kind of get close to the edge, it can actually put like a blue kind of like a wire mesh to let you know, like, hey, you're getting near the edge of your wall. So the whole like, oh, I want to walk around, that's like seems dangerous to me. Like, especially if you got like fucking floor furniture and shit, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm going to the crotch to the boom and freaking kill yourself. I mean, we've seen that shit in those like fail videos of VR chat where the fucking people just like, you see them fall over.
Yeah, you basically gonna need like a rubber room to walk around and do this. So if you fall, you just bounce it. But then if you fall face first, then that can still be very deadly.
But I mean, it's one of those things of like, is it a terrible idea? It's something that when you look at it, they're probably still gonna move forward with it. I mean, fuck, they already technically have gambling in these loot boxes and games that we play nowadays, anyways. True. So it's the next evolution and all that. Now, what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna have those freaking people that, like they said, it's something that somebody that's addicted to gambling, if they have access to it, they're going to do it. And the fact that you can do it either out of your phone or like, let's say a computer, like I can see it now where you have some guys like, fuck it, I'll bet my computer,
You bet it, then the computer just turns off. Like,
just pop up. It's this guy all of a sudden starts shaking, all of a sudden a huge lump in your network cable just starts going through the damn router and everything. It's like, well, there goes that.
Pop up is like, Sal will be here to collect your computer in 12 hours.
Yeah.
It's funny though. One of the things where I did see VR where it could be really interesting is looking for a house or an apartment. I saw one where it's like you put on the glasses and you could walk around the apartment, see
Yeah.
almost everything as if you're there. So I think that in applications like that, or maybe like, oh, I want to see what this resort is going to be like, or what this cruise ship is going to be like. That could end up being a really cool way to use it.
That's really cool. The only other thing that I've seen so far that once I think more companies take advantage of it. So one of the things that's really cool is with the new iPhones, they have the augmented reality stuff. Is pulling out the IKEA app, and you can pick anything of their, like it'll have you scan the room that you're looking at, and it'll get an idea of the space that it's in. And you can grab anything of their catalog and then put it out in the space, and you can move it around and rotate it so you can like see what this piece of furniture would look like in your house. And when I saw that, I'm like, yo, that's the fucking like next thing where any furniture manufacturer, like, this is the best thing ever. Like, oh, I want to get this desk, but I don't know if it's going to fit. You can literally put it in the spot and see like, oh, this is what it'll look like. And this is how much room it's going to take. Although it is a little bit quirky though.
That's why I don't want to go back in time, because I love all this technology and innovation that we have. That and racism.
I want to go forward in time. I want to see what it'd be like, 30, 40 years from now.
We're just going to be Wall-E. I'm telling you, we're heading towards that.
We're going to be sitting, floating in our chairs, just sitting like...
All right, guys. So that is IQ, Inappropriate Questions for this week. Please give us more comments, more ideas for questions, and we'll be sure to read them. And, always the top comments, the top contributors, we'll mention them here on our show. But until next time, peace out.
Hey guys, listen. You like the games? You like the interviews? You like the shows? How about you click on that subscribe button and also give us a like? We really need your help here, huh?